Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and also, just in case you don't know, I do have a podcast called Dr. Boyce Daily Stock Market, which is on Spotify. If you guys want to go check that out. Now, I want to talk to you guys about real estate. I want to break something down for you that is probably going to surprise you. A lot of people love real estate, and I love it too. I do own real estate. I think real estate is great as an investment vehicle for diversification purposes. But I'm gonna just tell you the truth. I really actually sold a lot of my real estate, and I'm gonna explain to you why I don't know if the so-called American dream of owning property is really what it's chalked up to be. I think it might be a little bit overhyped. Now, what I want to do as you come in, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Is I want to play a video for you, and this video is there's a young lady. Her name was Stephanie Kabidi, and I'm going to share her video. And she did a really good job of explaining her experience as a real estate owner and why she's selling a lot of her properties. And so I'm gonna play this video for you guys so you can take a look and hear from the sister's mouth. She's very smart. She looks like she's really deep in the real estate game, and I respect it. Hold on, let me turn this down a little bit. And I really think this is worth watching. Okay, guys. So I'm gonna share this real quick. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. And I hear you about the homeowners insurance, Jeremy. That's a real thing, especially if you live out west and y'all know what it is. Okay, so let me play this video. Give me a yes if you can hear the audio. I always want to make sure the audio comes through okay. Let me see if I can find this dang video. Hold on. I got it. It's somewhere around here. Here we go. Here it is. Okay. So here's the video. I'm pulling it up now and I'm going to play it. Let me know. Give me a quick yes if you can hear the audio as I play it. I'm going to look for your yeses in the chat. Here we go.
It's in only 18 months, and now I regret it. Just to show you, here's a 2-unit property I own. Here's another one that's a 6-unit apartment building, and here's another one, and here's another one, and there's even more properties, but I'm done driving around wasting my gas, and I feel you guys understand. I thought owning rental properties would be a great source of income, but boy, was I wrong. Most real estate investors teach about buying rental properties, rehabbing them, renting them out to tenants, and then refinancing them with a bank just to only cash flow $300 per month. And that $300 per month may sound like a small amount, but when you have a lot of units, that amount adds up. For the 22 units that I own with my business partner, we roughly cash flow on an average of $600 per month, and that's per unit. And on a monthly basis, that comes to $13,200. And on an annual basis, each year, that comes to $158,400. And that's a big cash flow amount just for only owning 22 units. Now that we talked about the money side of things, you're probably thinking to yourself, Stephanie, why on earth would you regret buying all these properties and wanting to sell them if you're making well over 6 figures with them? Well, because I'm here to tell you the dark side of owning rental properties that the other real estate gurus won't tell you. I honestly thought that as we buy more rental properties, that I would make more money. And as we continue to buy more, I just became more broke. So owning 22 rental properties looks great on social media, but in real life, it sucks. And the 6 figures that you see that we make from all these properties isn't really 6 figures, because as you buy more and you scale, more of that money of that cash flow that you make just goes into buying more properties. And not only that, you have to remember you're dealing with properties and things happen. So a roof could go out, an HVAC system could go out, windows could need to be replaced, and those are some pricey items. And that starts to add up. Look, think about it. Let's say you own a single family house and you decide to rent it out and you cash flow $400 per month. That's great. That's above average because typical investors look to cash flow roughly $200 a month. So you're making $400 a month just from this one property. Now, let's say your roof goes out, and to buy a new roof, that costs $5,000. All your cash flow of that $400 per month is completely wiped out just because of that one thing, just because you have to pay for that roof. Look, I'm not here to tell you what to do with your money, whether that's buying rental properties or not. I'm just here to tell you what my journey is and the ups and downs that have come along with it, just so it can help you along the way. Because at the end of the day, we all know that there are pros to rental properties and there are also cons to rental properties. Throughout us buying all these rental properties within an 18-month time frame, I quickly realized that we were becoming equity rich, but cash poor. And having a lot of equity is great, but equity does not put gas in my tank for me to be able to drive to the office and drive to appointments. I don't like living a life having to constantly check if my bank account is in the negatives or not. I just got tired of it, honestly. And with you being equity rich and cash poor and not having enough in your bank account, you have to think of those things. Like, are you going to have enough money for food? Are you going to have enough money to have gas? Are you going to have enough money for just the regular bills in your life? And that's where I just got over it. I was just tired of living a life like that and just came to this realization where I just regret building and scaling this fast.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause right there, and I'm going to start with a financial concept that we've talked about in Money in the Morning. In case you don't know, we do Money in the Morning economic elevation training We call it the Millionaire Training Camp every morning. Anybody who wants to be invited, just text that word morning to 87948 on your phone, the number 87948. I'll put that on the screen. It's totally free. We have thousands and thousands of you that sign up and come in for free. You bring your children, and it helps a lot. And in case you don't know my background, in case you're new, I'm a finance PhD. I taught at Syracuse University for 13 years, also at Indiana University and the Ohio State University. Go Buckeyes. So here's what I want to lay out here. There is one word that this very intelligent young woman shared repeatedly that I think everybody should write down and remember this word, because it often gets forgotten in the space of investing. And that word is liquidity. Liquidity. She didn't even use the word liquidity, but I'm going to tell you what she was saying. What she's talking about is a phenomenon that's really true in academic research in terms of wealth. Remember, as scholars, that's all we do is we look at research and we figure out who has money and who doesn't and why. Well, one of the things that people don't talk about enough, as we talk about all the dreams and everybody gives you the feel-good speeches, about starting a business and buying real estate, is they don't talk about the fact that that most businesses fail not because they're not profitable. They don't fail due to a lack of profitability. They fail due to a lack of liquidity. Liquidity is the availability of cash. The availability of cash. And if you want to look at the dark side of real estate, one thing about real estate is that real estate is a space where sometimes running out of cash can be a real problem. Other areas like fashion. I used to do stuff with Damon Dash from Rock Nation, and he told these great stories about Jay-Z and everything. And one thing he mentioned about when they started Rockefeller, Rockaware, and all that, he said they had no problem with people wanting Rockaware. Everybody wanted to buy Rockaware because everybody wanted to be like them in the 90s and the early 2000s. The problem was that they didn't have the cash flow to run that business. Cash flow is like lifeblood to a business. It's like blood flowing through your veins. It's like liquidity, like water in your body. You have to keep a business highly liquid in certain spaces in order to make things work. Real estate in general, in my opinion, is not a very liquid industry. I don't dislike real estate. I want to make that 100% clear. So anybody who's a big real estate person, do not get offended. I am not saying that you're silly for owning property. Real estate is great in the sense that it holds its value very well. It has made money all through time. But a lot of people are jumping into real estate who don't know a damn thing about it. A lot of people are jumping in because it sounds good on the internet, or they'll go watch an influencer and go put up $30,000, $40,000 for that influencer to show them how to buy real estate and buy property. And I just think that there are better ways to kind of get things done. And so when she's talking about this idea that you have control of all this property, you own all this real estate, and your cash flows down, your bank balance is negative. That's a big deal. That ability to get the money out is really hard. I can tell you this is not just true for real estate, but it's also true for a lot of entrepreneurial ventures. It's very easy to get your money in, but it's really hard to get your money out. So before you jump into somebody's investment or somebody gets you to go and put your life savings into something, you got to think about liquidity and say, okay, if I need my money out tomorrow, can I get my money out tomorrow? If not, how long does it take for me to get my money out? Can I get my money out in a month? Can I get it out in 2 months? What are my guarantees? What's my collateral? What's my protection? And I see Joy mentioned, she said, I dropped $1,300 for furnace repair and dryer replacement. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to actually do is I thought that this lady's video was so well done that I thought I would go ahead and play it and kind of use this as an instructive opportunity for all of us. And by the way, if you haven't joined our Money in the Morning class, you can just text the word morning to 87948. If you live out of the country, just go to drboyceelevate.com. That's drboyceelevate.com, and you can join for free. All right, so here is this video, which I just love this video. I love what this young lady did. And I just said, man, I like this so much. I want to play this. So here we go. I'm going to play it again. All right, y'all give me the yes in the chat. Let me know if you, hold on, see, I'm already hitting the wrong buttons. Hold on. Let me hit the right button. Hit the right button, boys. Come on. Okay. All right. Got you. All right. So let me see. Here we go. I think this is the video. So let me see if I can play it.
I want you guys to know that when you are dealing with rental properties, you need another source of income just to help you sustain. Because as I just said, you will be equity rich and cash poor if you do it this way and just build and scale so fast. So that other source of income that we took into consideration was wholesale deals. But unfortunately for us, our wholesale deals were very, very inconsistent. So we weren't making really any money from that. It was just the money from our cash flow. But you got to think about it. For us, there were some things that did need repaired. And when we had no money coming from wholesale deals, then we would use our cash flow money. But when we were low and didn't even have cash flow money to use that, then we would have to come out of our own pocket. And guys, remember I told you being being cash poor and not having any money in the bank account, you're probably wondering, like, how are you going to pay for repairs if you have no money from your personal pocket? Well, the bad thing we've done that I don't recommend is we just put it on credit cards. And that's where you get into a hole. And that's why I'm making this video, because I don't want you guys to be in the same position that I'm in. I want you guys to learn the lesson.
Okay, I'm pausing again. I'm pausing again because here's how cash flow works. Okay, you can think of it almost like when you have those fires in LA and everything. You know what happens? What happens when the hydrant runs out of water? What happens when the reservoir runs out of water? Where do you go after that? So what happens with cash flow generally, because cash flow is liquidity. That's like water being put out. You used to put out financial fires, right? You use the financial water, the liquidity, to put out your financial fire. And you know what happens when you don't have enough water? Everything burns down. That's literally a perfect analogy for how money works and how wealth works. Okay. So what she's saying here, which is really interesting, is that most of the time, for most investments that you put money into that are not liquid, that are they're almost think of them as dry, you know, like forest wood. Dry wood can easily catch on fire. So in order to keep it from catching on fire, you have a fire hose nearby, which means she was saying that another source of income is essential for her as a real estate investor. Now, this may not be true for everyone, but in general, you have to have some source of liquidity, right? So even if you're investing, sometimes you keep that job or you keep that side business or you keep those other ventures going just so you have a place you can grab cash to put out your financial fire. Do you give me a yes if you get that analogy? So the liquidity sitting over here, you got the fire department sitting here. That's your cash flow. That's your liquidity. You're liquid. And you're standing here with the hose. And whenever there's a financial fire, you can hose it down. If you don't have the hose, then everything burns down. Do you get that? Let me know if you're following this analogy, okay? Because I think it's a perfect analogy. So what she's basically saying is that her financial water hose that she was using to bring liquidity to her real estate business, which is dry wood, catching on fire constantly. Anybody who owns real estate knows expenses are insane. Expenses are high. It sucks a lot of liquidity out of your business. You're paying for things. You're paying for repairs. You're paying for taxes. You're paying for insurance. And God forbid, don't even try to go live in California and do this. Your insurance is so high that you may not even be able to get insurance, which is a whole nother set of issues, right? So you're spraying down this business that keeps catching on fire, but then you run out of water. Well, what do you do then? Well, then she had to go to the credit cards. She had to go get deeper in debt in order to provide the liquidity that she needed in order for the business to survive. So building the business is one thing, but keeping the business alive is another. Pay attention. Building the business is one thing, but maintaining the business is a whole nother adventure. So before you celebrate when you start the damn thing, don't celebrate when you start the business. Celebrate when you kept that business going for 10, 20 years, because that means you sat there with the fire hose and you've been putting out fires for a very long time, solving problems, spraying water on the parts that need it. So it's no different from a baby. Like anybody can make a baby, but only special people can give birth to a baby and raise a baby to the age of 18. So don't celebrate because you had sex. Everybody can do that. That's easy. Celebrate when you don't raise that kid up to the age of 30 and they are a productive citizen. That's when I give you your cookies. That's when I give you your award. That's when you put in 250,000 hours of consistent effort to raise that child to adulthood. So business is the same way. A lot of people can start things, but not everybody can finish and maintain. So the liquidity is required for the maintenance. And what she's saying is that when she was maintaining the business with the liquidity that she had available through wholesaling, that ran out. So she had to go to the credit cards, which tended to make things even worse. Let me pull this up again. Let me share this video. I love this video. My God, it's a great teaching tool in terms of just us really talking about what the real deal is. I believe in realistic investing. I think too many dreams get sold online. Because people sound good and they know how to speak, and like they got the Holy Ghost and stuff, and people get caught up in that, and then people end up either getting scammed or losing a lot of money. And I don't want that to happen to you. So here we go. Let me play it again.
Learn the mistakes that I have made so that you don't have to make those same mistakes. So just remember, if you do want to build a rental portfolio, make sure you also have another source of income just coming in, because if you don't, you may end up real broke. Now, I want to talk about self-managing your rental properties, because for us, that is what we did to save money. And to be honest with you guys, I honestly don't mind it. As long as you have your proper systems and processes in place, then it's more so of a piece of cake. And what I recommend you guys do, if you are buying these rental properties, make sure you're fully fixing them up, just so you're not getting calls in the middle of the night of tenants saying, oh, my toilet's broken, where if you just get a brand new toilet, then you're less likely to have that issue. So just repair your properties up from the jump instead of having someone move in right away. and make sure you have your right proper systems and processes in place. Now, I want to get back into the money side of things because that's the main reason people truly buy rental properties is to have that, financial freedom. But I want to take a second to dive deeper on mortgages. And with you seeing that $300 per month in cash flow, that's not because your utility bills are so high. It's on.
I want you to pay close attention to what she says here about the real revenue. Like you got revenue and then you got income. Those are two different things. So here she's going to break this down very well. Here we go.
Honestly, because your mortgage is so high with your principal and interest payments. And I want to give you guys an example. For this 2-unit property that we own, that you guys have seen, the upstairs unit is renting for $1,300 a month, and the downstairs unit is renting for $1,100 a month. Now, for the mortgage on that property, it is roughly $1,300 a month. So that upstairs unit already covers that mortgage, which is amazing. But we still do have utility bill payments on that, so we still cash flow a good amount on that, roughly around the $600 per unit. But still, we have expenses no matter what. But I want you guys to realize that $1,300 from the mortgage payment, that is the principal and interest, which just that part alone consists of $900. And then we have our taxes and insurance, which that's all included within the $1,300 a month. But think about it. That's a big chunk that is coming out of our cash flow. Like, wouldn't it be nice just to have an extra $900 per month in cash flow from just taking away that mortgage? That's what I'm thinking. Like, I would like to have that extra $900 a month in cash flow. And that's where my mind's at. Like, I'm done worrying about scaling with no money because I realize like it can be easily done where you can buy so many rental properties or just properties in general, whatever you want to do with them, whether that's, fixing them up or keeping them as rental properties. You can do that with no money out of pocket. I mean, that's how we scaled from 0 to 22 units within 18 months. But it's honestly the riskier route if you don't have another source of income because you slowly get into a hole and you have all these mortgage payments racked up. You have to make sure they're all getting paid, but you also want to make sure that you're getting paid and you're cash flowing as well. So after realizing all this, like I said, I'm done taking that risky route and I want to take a different approach where I want to focus on limiting those mortgages, having a consistent income, and having a good amount of money in reserves. Because to be honest with you, I'd rather own 30 properties that are 100% paid off than 100 properties that have mortgages on them and only cash flow $300 a door. Because you guys have to remember, it's not about what looks good on social media and it's not about how much you gross per month. It comes down to truly how much you net per month and how much money is coming into your pocket. And
okay. All right. So I love that video. I love what she did. And again, her name is Stephanie Kabidi, and she's very smart. And Steph, if you see this video, I applaud you for being honest and breaking it down like this. Now, let me kind of do some analysis really quick to kind of help you understand what we just watched and how this works. Let's just do. I'm gonna pull up a quick spreadsheet. Today must be a special day because I'm literally gonna share my screen again, and we're gonna go through an Excel spreadsheet where we can kind of just see the reality of owning real estate. Just what does that actually look like and feel like for a regular person? All right, and I agree with you, Linda. Cash flow is key. So let's talk about cash flow. So let's say that you get a place in Atlanta, and let's say you put $50,000 down, and you of your own money. And you buy a $500,000 property. Okay. So let's assume that they give you the property with just 10% down. So in general, first you got to pay your mortgage. If you have, say, a 5% mortgage, 30-year mortgage on the balance that you borrowed. Give me 1 second. This is my wife. Hold on, everybody. Hey. No, I'm in class.
Teaching a class? Mm-hmm. It wasn't in your schedule to do the pictures?
It was, but I don't want to.
Okay.
Like they said, I'll see you later. Okay, guys, sorry about that. Thank you for your patience. All right, so here, let's assume that you spend you get your mortgage. Your mortgage is $2,415. And then you have taxes, and let's assume your taxes are $416. I base this on average amounts in Atlanta, and let's assume that you can rent. Your monthly rent is $5,000. Okay, so your tenant's paying you $5,000 a month. Now, just so you know, I think this number is very optimistic. My wife and I owned a property in Atlanta that we paid $590,000 for, and the income that we got was $3,500 a month from the tenant. But we didn't charge as much as we could have charged. Maybe I'm thinking we could have got at least $4,500 a month. But the tenant was a single mom with 3 kids. I just didn't want to overcharge her. I wanted to just pay the mortgage and the expenses and leave it at that because we're going to get the capital gains, right? As the property value goes up, that's our windfall, and that's what it was. So here, let's keep going. Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you can still hear me okay. So let's assume your insurance is $150 per month. This is based on averages for Atlanta. Utilities, let's say your utilities are $416 per month. Okay. And then let's assume that your management fee is $500 per month. Now, one thing I did not include, Jeremy, is HOA. Yeah, we do pay HOA 100%. So just right there, though, here's the deal. Just right there, your income is only about $4,100. I'm sorry, $800 left. I think so. Let me add this up. Let me see here. I'm gonna do a sum. Okay, so let's add up all of our expenses. $38.97. So I'm sorry. So if you take $38.97 minus the 5,000, you get what? Let me see here. 5,000 minus this. So $1,100 a month. Now, here's what we didn't include. We didn't include HOA fees. HOA fees can be pretty high. I have to pay those in the property that we have. And also, we don't know how much that's going to be. You know, I'm not going to put a number there. But then you throw in like another variable, headaches. How much is a headache worth to you? How much is it if somebody's stressing you out? How much is that worth? Headaches. I think that's priceless, right? Because one of the things that we did not factor in here is the amount of work required to just deal with tenants. Has anybody, give me a yes in the chat if you've ever dealt with a tenant who did or did not pay their rent on time. Give me a yes if you've ever dealt with trying to find a tenant. Give me a yes if you ever dealt with repairs and things breaking down. Here's the thing. If you were to look at sort of a list of all the things that people complain about when they own properties, first of all, you got tenant issues, especially if you live in a place that is very overly tenant friendly. They assume that landlords are all super rich people. So rich people are evil in those places. So they pretty much every ruling's in favor of the tenant. They can squat on your property and it's hard to get them out. Late payment of rent, non-payment of rent. If they don't pay the rent, you have to still pay the mortgage. Your expenses still come in even if they don't pay the rent. So there's $5,000 or $3,800 a month in expenses, which happens on a normal month. That's assuming nothing breaks down, by the way. That's assuming that I don't have, a broken, busted toilet or a broken, or I don't know, like something doesn't happen with the electrical system or there isn't a leak somewhere. And believe me, that happens all the time. How many of y'all have ever owned real estate? Anybody ever owned real estate and rented it out? Like, just say something in the chat about just how much stress it was and financial stress it was to pay for everything, be responsible for everything, take time out of your day to fix things. Even when you have a property manager, they still got to get on the phone with you and talk through it and say, we're going to fix the such and such. And you got to send us a check for $2,000 to get a new blah, blah, blah. Right. It's crazy. Right. So the headaches are priceless. Some other things that people you have to deal with. You got to screen any new tenants that come in, maintenance and repairs. We talked about that. If the property is getting older, you just might have to maintain it because it's getting older. If the property is vacant, then you still have to pay the mortgage, even if it's vacant. That's thousands and thousands of dollars lost. Now, mind you, you're defending all this with an $1,100 a month income, right? So your $1,100 a month is very fragile. That's the point. If you have one thing go wrong, that in many cases will wipe out every penny that you make, and then cost you more money, which is where she had to keep going back to the reserves. She had to keep calling the fire department to put out the fire because she didn't have enough liquidity in her business to even sustain the business. The business couldn't sustain the business. So she had to have another business to sustain the first business. That's the reality. I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just telling you what it is. Also, don't forget, you in different cities and states, you have different building codes, eviction laws. Sometimes the taxes can be complex. If you talk about managing property, you either pay a management fee, roughly 8 to 12% a month of your rent, or you do it yourself. And that's extremely stressful. Oh, and then we didn't even talk about the liability. We didn't talk about liability. What if you own the property and somebody forgets to check the carbon monoxide detector and everyone in the house wakes up dead? Well, then they're suing you. They're taking everything they can get their hands on. And then you got to do little stuff like get an LLC for every individual property to protect. It's a lot of work. It's stressful. Okay. So that's just my 2 cents. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying just make sure that you're clear on this if you decide to go into that space. There are different ways to invest in real estate without having to actually buy it. They have real estate investment trusts. I sent you all a list before of different real estate investment trusts that I like that you can invest in that will still give you the benefit of owning property without actually having to own property. property, so to speak. You let somebody else kind of handle all the headaches of the management of the property, and you just become the investor. I'm a big believer in investing. Maybe I'm biased because my doctorate's in stock market stuff, but I'm just telling you, like, this is the number one wealth builder in America. There is no jobs don't build wealth the way investing builds wealth. And actually, what I'm going to try to do is find this list of real estate investment trusts, and I'll even put it in the chat so you guys can have it. And also another thing too, if you want to know what I think is a better use of that money, I really think stock options, selling stock options, is a beautiful way to generate that cash flow at a higher level, in a clearer, easier way with fewer headaches. So in a more liquid way as well. And you guys know me, you know how much I love stock options. But anyway, there's that list of REITs. I just put it in the chat. I'll also put it in the description of the video. But anyway, let me show you another calculation here. And we do stock options. We sell stock options in the Prime program. So if you're interested in taking a look, go to drboyceprime.com. That's drboyceprime.com. It's on the screen. All right. So here is, let's take a look at stock options. Let's see what we could do. Now, remember, the original capital base that we had was $50,000, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that $50,000 and I'm going to do something else with it. Let me erase the real estate. So actually, I'm going to leave it up there, and I'm going to share the screen again. Okay. All right. Don't mess this up, boys. Here we go. All right. So here is, all right. So let's imagine that we took the 50,000, we did something else with it. Let's assume we go to even Robinhood. Like, you can do this on an app, very easy to do. And we go get some margin, and we can then go, let's say we want to go into business with Mark Zuckerberg. We're going to do the opposite, right? Remember, there was a time where other people, where they got all the benefits and we did all the work. Well, I think with investing, you can let them do all the work and you get the benefits by being an investor. You just have to come up with the capital. So let's say we take this 50,000, or let's say we get it up to enough money where we can buy 200 shares of Meta stock. Okay. And the cost per share right now, you can do this. You can do this tomorrow, actually, if you want. Not tomorrow, whenever the market opens on Monday. The cost per share is $615. Can y'all see this on the screen? Let me know if you can see this. I want to make sure it's coming through okay. Can y'all see this? All right. So the cost per share is $615. So the cost of 200 shares would be $123,002. Okay. Now, you can get margin. They'll loan you half the money. They'll loan you, like whatever you have 50,000, they'll loan you another 50. If you got 60, they'll loan you another 60. So actually, this will require a capital base of about $61,000. But you can do this, right? You can do this tomorrow. So what I could then do is I can go into Meta right now, and I could sell a call up. Today is January 11th, so I'm going to sell a February 14th call option with a strike price. And you guys, if you don't know what strike prices are, it's basically you're placing kind of a bet on your stock. You're letting people, you're telling them, like, look, if the stock goes above this price, you can have it. So I'm gonna pick a strike price of 640. Okay. So that means that if the stock goes above 640, they get to buy my stock for 640. But I'm not mad, because if the stock goes all the way up, if it goes up $25 a share, then I make an additional profit of 25 times 600, which I guess is what, $12,000 or something like that, for $14,000 that I get, because they're buying my stock at a premium. They're not buying it at the current price. They buy it at the premium price. So I'm okay with that. I'm not mad about that. So that option right now on the market would be worth $24.45 per share. I've got 200 shares, so I can sell 200 of those suckers, and that would give me an income right now in my bank account of $4,889. That's how much money I get. And what I want you to notice is, first off, $4,889 as an ROI on the investment is a hell of a lot higher than $1,100. That's a hell of a lot higher. That's you're 4xing your money. You're making 4 times more than you would make if you went out and bought a whole bunch of real estate with that same amount of money. First of all, let me just ask you all this simple question right now. Give me a yes if I've convinced you that this is at least something worth considering. Give me a yes if you can see why I like this so much better than real estate. Let's start there. Give me a quick yes, because I want to make sure you're following me, because I don't want to go over anybody's head. So I just sold this option. And what I basically did was someone gave me money. They put almost $5,000 in my bank account instantaneously. And all I got to do now is just sit there. I don't have to do anything. Okay. That's the first piece, right? And it's a lot more than this 1,100 I would have made by taking that same 60 grand and going out and buying a bunch of real estate and paying mortgage, taxes, insurance, utilities, management fee. And that's the, but then here's the other part that's interesting that you got to really process is quality of life. I didn't have to get out of bed to get this money. I didn't have to make any phone calls. I ain't got to deal with no tenants. I ain't got to worry about a squatter in my property. I ain't got to worry about a broken toilet. I ain't got to worry about nothing. I don't. So not only do I not have any expenses, but I don't have any headaches. I have no mortgage, taxes, insurance, utilities, management fee, HOA fees, no headaches. And I can do this with my family. My family, we get together, we got 60 grand, and everybody's like, let's go buy some real estate. That sounds good and it feels good, and you can show it off and tell everybody. But I'd be like, let's just take the 60,000, get some margin, go buy some meta stock and collect those dividends on the options. That's the options, just so you know, this isn't the same as a dividend. This is better, in my opinion. But here's the other thing too, right? So I sit back and I watch. So what if the stock goes up to 640? Well, then guess what? Christmas really came early, because if the stock goes up to 640, then I'm making an extra $25 per share on my stock. And the stock, let me see, $25 a share. Let me do some calculations here. 200 shares times 25. I'm making an extra $5,000 for my trouble. I said for 12,000. I got the math wrong. I'm so sorry, guys. Forgive me. Maybe I'm sleepy today. So this to me is far superior. Then let's go through the reasons why. Number one, not only is the income much higher, and this isn't even, I don't even own Meta. This isn't even the stock that I work with, because there are other stocks that are far better than this one. I just did this one because it's the simplest way to exhibit the point. Not only is the income much, much higher, and there are no expenses. Also, there are no headaches. There is no work required. I don't have to do anything. And also, the other piece that's really important to consider is liquidity. I can sell this asset in 5 seconds. You cannot sell real estate in 5 seconds. It's very hard to sell real estate in a day, a week, or a month. You got to call, you got to talk to brokers and deal with banks and make sure the financing comes through. And then remember this 1,100 isn't just a lower number. You got to think about the other, what they call the second derivative. The second derivative relates to risk. People forget about risk. This 1,100 is very, very fragile, very, very fickle. You may not get 1,100 that month. In fact, I dare say that for most landlords, you don't get the whole net income, because in many months something goes wrong. The tenant doesn't pay on time. Something breaks down. Whatever it is, right? So this is not just lower income. It's less sturdy income, right? So it's not just, and with investing, it's really important. People forget about this. It's not just making money. It's how do you make your money? It's not just the size of the cash flow. It is the stability of the cash flow. Stability. It's like two basketball players. One player is Allen Houston from the New York Knicks. Super consistent, will give you 20 points a game, shows up to get every game, doesn't party too much. He's a good citizen, no problems. The other one is Latrell Sprewell. And if you remember the Knicks, Latrell Sprewell scored about as many points as Allen, but Latrell was wild. He liked to party. He may or may not show up. He was not as consistent. Sometimes his jump shot would be off. So those are two different assets to the organization. Do you follow what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? So when you think about investing, I encourage you to not just think about how much money you can possibly make. I want you to look at risk. Risk is extremely important. That was what I did in my whole doctoral program. I worked under a guy named Renee Stoltz at Ohio State, go Buckeyes, who was one of the leading risk management experts on the planet. And I really would be willing to bet you that most people don't process risk at a level that they probably should in order to understand how to invest in the right way. Okay. So that's the point I wanted to make. I like this young lady's video. I thought that she did a great job of laying out something that I think is important. I encourage you to consider other alternatives. This is not investing advice. This is just me sharing what I know and what I've seen. If you want to join us in the Prime program, we have a good program in the Black Business School that does all this stuff. I'll show you guys what I'm doing, exactly what I'm buying and how I'm doing it. So feel free to go to drboyceprime.com if you're interested. You can also text the word options to the phone number 87948. If you text options to 87948, I'll send you a link that way as well. So thank you all for listening. I hope this conversation was helpful. And thank you to Miss Stephanie Kabiti, who did that great video. She's super smart, and I love the fact that we're starting to see the truth about investing. When I started doing a lot of this stuff back in 2006, 2007, a lot of our people weren't as into investing as we are now and into generational wealth. So I remember just kind of going around to different shows trying to say like hey, we got to invest. Like, we like money. We got to go make money. But what happened, unfortunately, is that when we started, a lot of people were just doing it wrong. They were taking too many risks, and they didn't understand the difference between investing and gambling. And also, we're not factoring in the important variables like quality of life, risk level, liquidity levels. All these things matter when it comes to picking an investment. So it's not just about making money at this point. It's about how you make your money and doing it in a way that is comfortable and satisfying to the other parts of your life that are more valuable and more important than money. Okay. So anyway, guys, thank you for hanging out with me. It was great to see you. And again, drboyceprime.com if you're interested in jumping in. And I will see you guys soon. Take care. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Love you. Peace.